All right, YouTube. Once again, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart here for the podcast. We're talking Auburn football. Go ahead and like the video, comment, and subscribe to Vernon Speak Sports Auburn. As always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger. We're talking the basically post-game show the day after the Iron Bowl. Auburn loses to Alabama 42-13. Now, I have a link in, if you see this little ticker, this little banner going on up under where I'm talking, that is the banner to actually join the show if you want to join the show and give your opinion about Auburn football. Hope everyone is having an excellent weekend. I know this was a very disappointing football game for a lot of the Auburn fan base. And, it's really unfortunate, especially when you think about, a lot of the effort and a lot of the time that's put into, being a fan and really wanting to see your team successful. But we got to be realistic about this. I think Auburn is in a position to where, over the years, especially leading up to the last 2 years, just haven't had really great recruiting classes. You've had some good guys, or you had some high numbers, but then that thing gets deflated as you go down the recruiting classes to where you have 81s and 82s. And those guys usually never pan out to be Power 5 football players, let alone having the capability to compete on the level that Auburn needs these guys to compete. But I just want you guys to get on here and give your opinions tonight. One thing we want to put up real quick is the SEC standings at this point. I think the writing is pretty much on the wall. Alabama should be the representative, obviously, for the SEC West. You got the head-to-head situation with Texas A&M, where they beat Texas A&M. And, that pretty much solidifies the SEC West. Now, what we may look for is the idea of Auburn possibly beating Texas A&M. It's crazy enough. The ESPN did a analysis to where they say Auburn has about a 53% chance to beat Texas A&M, and I don't thoroughly disagree. I don't think the fan base should let the game against Alabama, who is arguably one of the best teams in history, obviously, over the past few years. I mean, they recruit on a high level. They probably could compete with some NFL teams. So these guys are actually pretty good over at Alabama. Actually, no Auburn fan is going to give Gus a pass for getting beat 42-13, but you got to be realistic about it. These guys are excellent football players. Now, when we look over to the SEC East, that's where things get a little tricky. I think Georgia has put themselves in a bind with the two losses, including a head-to-head loss to Florida. So I think Florida is obviously going to be the representative for the SEC East, assuming that the SEC championship game is going to be played in a couple of weeks. So we will see how that transpires. Man, I really appreciate you all joining. Douglas Holly says, Auburn fans, it's time to move on from Gus. Bill Petty says, War Eagle. Douglas Holly says, Gus, thanks for your service. Keep Kevin Steele and go after Lincoln Raleigh. And all of those are respectable responses. I think the Auburn fan base is obviously, frustrated and want to see more from this program. Want to see, it's almost like a kid looking out of the window and seeing all their friends playing and having a great time, whereas you're sitting in the house, you're on punishment, and you're having to watch your rivals, LSU, win a national championship. You have to watch Georgia go to the SEC championship game year in and year out. You have to watch your arch rival that you rub shoulders with on a daily basis in the University of Alabama go to the national championship, SEC championship, is murdering you on the recruiting scene. So it really is hard to watch. But what Auburn fans also have to remember is I don't think, the administration at Auburn, I don't think they've done their due diligence to put themselves in a position to, put themselves in a position to win on this high of a level, So either way, we got 13 viewers. I definitely appreciate that. Go ahead and like and comment and subscribe if you're still on. Matter of fact, I did put the banner down to where guests can join if they want to. So far, we don't have anyone yet. Reading through some of the comments, hell of a reality to wake up to. As optimistic as I was just as realistic about the odds of the outcome we witnessed. Nonetheless, ever to conquer, never to yield. I knew coming in this game it would be a tough one to win, but just wanted to see some more competitive play from Auburn. Now, I will say this. I think Auburn was pretty much, fighting as much as they could up to the point. I think the straw that broke the camel's back for the Tigers was that missed pass by Seth Williams. You get that touchdown. You go into overtime. I mean, not overtime. You go into the second half down 21-10. Auburn's defense responded and actually got a 3 and out. You actually have a ball game. But I think that was a very deflating moment for the Auburn Tigers when Seth Williams dropped that football. That would have been a walk-in touchdown and would have given Auburn a hell of an amount of momentum going into the second half. Now, as we talk about this Auburn versus Alabama game, some of the pieces, some of the moving parts, and Bo Nix gets the brunt of the criticism when it comes to Auburn football, and rightfully so. He touches the freaking ball he touches the freaking ball every play on offense, so he's going to be listed as a guy that holds a high level of accountability, because when a team wins, usually they say, okay, he led his team to victory, right? Because he's the quarterback, because he touches the ball every time, because he calls plays. Now, let's talk about Bo Nix real quick. When it comes to especially playing on the road, especially a stat that I dug up was when Bo Nix passes the ball over 30 times in a game, he is 5-5 overall. Against ranked teams, when he throws the ball more than 30 times, he's actually 2-4. Okay, so that means when he throws the football, his effectiveness decreases like exponentially. It's really a staggering thing to watch. All of his games where he threw for over 300 yards, he threw the ball less than 30 times, which is a kind of a staggering stat to me, because I'm like, how do you throw the ball 40 times and only get 227 yards? Now, usually where that comes about is the fact that when Bo Nix has to throw the ball 30 to 40 times, you can just about rest assured that Auburn has gone against their game plan. Because the game plan is never, I don't care what you all say, the game plan is never for Bo Nix to throw the ball more than 25, max 30 times. Anything over 30 times, you already know Auburn's game plan is shot. And you can just about look at the rushing yards, and the rushing yards will dictate less than 100 yards, just like it did yesterday, where Mark Anthony Richards, who comes off the bench, led the team in rushing with 57 yards. You're not going to beat Alabama. We're not going to talk about any other team, but you're not going to beat Alabama with only 56 yards. Your leading rusher only having 56 yards. It's just absolutely not going to happen. You can get on the fire Gus train, but if you can't run the football against a team like Alabama, it's just not going to happen. And let's just talk about Alabama, though. I mean, you look at a team that against all SEC competition, double digit Georgia, double-digit Texas A&M, obviously double-digit Auburn. I mean, what did you think was going to happen? Did you think just because it was Auburn, did you think that miraculously they were going to come up, they were going to be able to make up for years of terrible recruiting, for years of lackluster player development, and all of a sudden piece together a team that was going to beat Alabama yesterday? You're a fool if you thought so. And to be angry today with all of this in mind, I think you're even more foolish, because my thing is this: a lot of folks that try to hit me with the whole sunshine pumping thing. I'm just a realist. I'm not about to get on this channel week in and week out and bash Gus. Gus is there. We are stuck with Gus. It is what it is. And until, one thing I can say about Gus, over the past few years, recruiting has gotten a little better, has gotten a little bit more effective to where you can compete against and beat teams like Tennessee, Kentucky. Should have beat Arkansas, honestly, by a couple of 2 scores. Should have beaten who was that other one that was crying about the Ole Miss should have beat that game. Should have never been particularly close. So the games that Auburn should win, they're getting to the point where they're starting to win those games, and they're starting to win those games by double digits. But Alabama, that's a different kind of scenario. One thing about it, you got three of your offensive starters hurt. You also have Tank Bigsby, who appeared to not be able to go 100%. And DJ Williams, I don't know where the heck he was. I mean, I didn't see him the whole game. I did see some good things out of Kobe Hudson, though. He caught a nice pass. Shedrick Jackson getting back in the mix. Anthony Schwartz was targeted a lot, had 60 receptions. I thought that was a big deal for the Auburn Tigers. So here's the thing. When we started this year, we talked about the fact that Auburn would, at its optimal level, Auburn would go 8-2. Okay. So in this, we assumed on this channel, me and some of the guys, we got together and we started really talking about, how we thought this season would kind of happen. And we pieced together best case, worst case scenarios. And we thought that Auburn would go 8-2 at optimal. And that is assuming obvious losses to Georgia and to Alabama. Now, the issue is with the Gus Malzahn era, there's always a room for error to where you're going to lose a game that you shouldn't lose. That's just when we did this module, we knew there would be a game out there that Auburn would lose. South Carolina wasn't that game that I thought we would lose. I thought it would be either Kentucky or Texas A&M. Turns out it was South Carolina. South Carolina caught Auburn at the right time. Bo Nix with three interceptions in that game. Auburn getting off to a good start. I think that's a game that Auburn should have won. I think Auburn was the better team. I think Auburn had more talent, but that's just the one. Just like the girl in college that you kind of screwed up on, the one that got away. Okay, so at this point, we look forward as Auburn has Texas A&M and Mississippi State. The reason why I feel pretty decent about these two games is because I think Auburn's defense will play with a lot more confidence. When you're facing a team like Alabama and Ole Miss that spreads you out, that gets you totally out of your element to where you have to think a lot and you have to react a lot, I think that's a situation that's of high anxiety, and you wind up making mistakes. I mean, it is what it is. You wind up making mistakes like Smoke Monday, getting doubled up and then getting burnt for what, like 50-something yards? I mean, those are the things that happen to you when you're playing against a team like Alabama. I think Texas A&M kind of mirror a little bit more of, especially talent-wise, what Auburn is accustomed to. So I really think that these are games that Auburn will play with more confidence. I don't think Auburn had the confidence as a team to even feel like they could win that game yesterday. This is being real. Because, when you play sports and this team is superiorly talented than you, things are not working out. The things that should work out aren't. And then you wind up in a situation where it turns into a complete debacle. And that's what you saw on yesterday. Like I said before, the Seth Williams drop was really lethal, I think. I think that was totally lethal for the Auburn guys. And it just didn't work out at all after that. Okay, so let's look at some of the comments. We got F. Scott Fitzbeagle. I think that's how you pronounce that. He's a regular around the Vernon Speak Sports streets. He says that both offensive tackles out. Tank got nicked up. Just saying, DJ was hurt and think he got rolled up on. Would have been nice to see DJ Williams yesterday. Sheesh. Danny Blackman says Bo don't have the receivers like, say, Georgia, for instance. Georgia has 8 to 10 different players. Man, listen, Danny, I love you like a brother for sure. But let's talk about George Pickens real quick. I was thinking about this today. Why the hell does George Pickens only have 253 yards this year? If we're talking elite, I'm going to let you answer that one in the comment section. Gus wins 7 8 games in years they could win more. That seems to be the ceiling. Auburn spreads you out, but don't seem to put the stress on defenses like other teams. When I think about this, Gus Malzahn is going to have to figure out something to where he can do that same shit he does against Mississippi State and Arkansas against teams like Alabama, because they don't fall for it. They just have the talent. They just have the coaching and the wherewithal to where they stop all that bullshit, all those screens to the right, the end, the right. Like, they're not falling for that stuff. Come on, Gus. Let's come up with something else. Andre Ivy, my very first subscriber and Roll Tider, says, I think the years in service with lack of consistency has damaged the Auburn faithful. Noop, want to give a big shout out, to Andre Ivy. Those who know what I'm talking about. The lying detector meter type seasons are exhausting without the positive result. Now, here's the thing. When you're an Alabama fan, you can say some bullshit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, Alabama is a team that is going to win every week. They're going to be picked to win every week. They have more talent than most of the teams that they play. And usually when they do lose, it's just, everything has gone wrong for Alabama and everything has absolutely gone right for the other team. You think about, let's just say, let's dig up Alabama versus LSU from last year, right? LSU I'm talking about, they bought the kitchen sink, they bought the tour bus, they bought everything to Alabama. Everything you could possibly throw at them. Alabama was down 32 to like 14. Everything says that LSU, the best team in college football, the best team that LSU has put on the field probably in LSU's history, is straight up whooping Alabama's ass for 3.5, almost 4 quarters. And guess what? Alabama is so freaking talented with Tua Tagovailoa and all of those other guys. Who else? That Henry Ruggs and all that ridiculous wide receiver talent that Alabama had last year. Storms back in the game and almost freaking wins 45-41, their first home loss in some years. But it still took so much to do it. And LSU actually had the horses to do it, but other teams in the SEC and in the rest of the country, they just don't have it. So let's talk about, I'm tired of talking about Alabama. Yeah, and Georgia too. George Pickens is a freaking bust so far. I want to see more out of him. Alabama native flipping from Auburn to go to Georgia to do absolutely nothing but fight people. All right, so down in distance on third, huge issue yesterday. No, Auburn is not equipped. Auburn's not equipped to handle third and long really against too many teams, but especially not as athletic as Alabama was. They found themselves in too many occasions having good drives going. I'm talking about really, really good drives going. What happens? You get a penalty, or you get a boneheaded play call, some lateral crap to Anthony Schwartz that they know is coming. And, oh, man, next thing you know, defense is playing okay. Now you got 3rd down and 15. Now you got a punt. Now you're struggling with field position. Now you're struggling with all the stuff you don't need to struggle with against a team like Alabama. Okay, and that leads to my next point, the field position, guys. How many times did you see Auburn start out at their own 10, their own 20, their own less than 30 in this game? Okay. Those types of things, when you're playing the best team in the country, arguably, we can talk about Clemson maybe when Trevor Lawrence is there. We can talk about Notre Dame, who's gotten better. I think Alabama beats the shit out of both of those teams, to be fair. Down in distance is your friend. I think Auburn just did not have enough third and favorables. And when I talk about third and favorables, also nobody's going to join me tonight. So that's what we do. We talk shit in the comment section, but you can't join me to talk. Man, come on, guys. You see the link at the bottom. Join the freaking show. And I don't want Andre to join the show. He's an Alabama fan. We don't want him on tonight. Okay. Big shout out to you, Nuke. Appreciate you joining last night. But anyway, Field position. When you're playing a team like Alabama, field position is got to be your best friend. Auburn was just hanging out in minus territory pretty much the whole first half. And to only be down 21-3, honestly, was kind of good, actually. I think the drop, though, by Seth Williams put Auburn in a huge bind. Next thing you know, they come back out, can't get nothing going on offensively. Then that's when the explosion starts. Sarkisian started to really exploit some of Auburn's inexperience. Matter of fact, Jalen Simpson, Auburn's probably second best cover guy, cornerback from Georgia, did not play yesterday. Saw Tennyson out there. Those guys were doing the best they can, but my goodness, most of these guys were playing high school football last year, and you're asking them to cover Devontae Smith, who pretty much smokes everyone that he encounters. Probably not going to happen. So let's move on to the explosive plays. I mean, that is just, the explosive plays were really backbreaking yesterday. Auburn being caught off balance. I think the worst one, we talked about Smoke Monday as a leader of this football team, and I will not deny that. But that double move that Devontae Smith made really stalled Smoke Monday. Next thing you know, here we go. The play early on that we did not want to happen freaking happened. Next thing you know, Auburn is down 7-0 already. After doing some pretty decent stuff defensively, explosive plays. Then in the second half, you start to get Najee, potential Heisman Trophy winner Harris. He gets rolling. And then it's an absolute wrap. 42-13 later, we have to hear Gus Malzahn's post-game speech, which is always pretty interesting. War Eagle. Okay, so the explosive plays sucked. The running game just could not get going. Several offensive linemen were out. Also, Tank Bigsby really wasn't full steam. DJ Williams hurt. Mark Anthony Richards kind of showed some promise in that second half. He showed some explosion on the edge, and I think that's what Auburn really should have really exploited that edge a little bit more. I think they tried too much stuff up the middle against a very talented Alabama defense. I really think they should have continued their attacks on the perimeter against Alabama, kind of spread them out a little bit. Tank Bigsby did do some positive things, but it just appeared that he couldn't go. And the offensive line not being able to open up the holes, but you losing guys like Brandon Council and Broderius Ham and all this other stuff. And it's just, it was just too much for the Auburn running game to get going. It was just tough to watch. But either way, second half, 3 and outs to begin the next half. Alabama came on. Auburn got the ball first. Alabama had the ball to begin the second half. So here's the thing: when you have a situation like that, especially with when you're down 21-3, you're just hoping like hell that your defense can get a 3 and out or stop so that you can kind of stay in the game. And Auburn did do that. However, they couldn't capitalize off of it. And then you still thinking back to the 21-10 situation with a potential 21-10 situation with Seth Williams dropping the ball. You got to know that that's in the back of the minds of the Auburn football players. And it just didn't work out too well for the Tigers. Tigers actually won the time of possession. First downs were pretty even, I guess you could say. But the biggest, what's going on? Brian Palmer has joined. He says, "What's going on, Vern? War, damn Eagle. A lot, but against top 20 picks." Yeah. Okay, let's talk about this real quick. 5-star players. Alabama gets a lot of them. Georgia gets a lot of them. They spread around. Just so you know, there are only about 33 5-star players in the country. And they are very, choosy on where they can go. Seems to be the good hangout is Ohio State, Clemson, Oklahoma, Alabama, of course. Michigan could get them as a blue blood team, kind of, sort of, but they're really screwing things up there. Florida's starting to get them. So just remember, there's only 33 5-stars to go around. And the meat and the gold is in the not between the 93 and about the 97 4-star recruits. That's how you build a roster. That's how you build a quality roster. And if you look at all the teams that are winning, not only are they getting 5-stars, but they're getting those real blue collar 4-stars to, kind of even things out. Now, this goes to my point about Alabama. I'm very impressed at how they go, that they're very deliberate in how they develop their players. Kind of was listening. I don't know how, maybe most of you all have been drinking too much to catch this. But at the beginning of the game, before the game started, they talk of currently we're at 21, Groundworks Entertainment. And they better pull some shit out the bag here in the next couple of weeks, or else we're going to be crying about this same shit next year. But either way, Alabama and their development, they're so deliberate. I was really impressed with the fact that Devontae Smith says that, "What's up, Coach Sykes? My high school football coach." Hell yeah. The link is actually kind of scrolling through the, if you look at the little ticker down here, it's scrolling down there, https://streamyard.com and all those letters. That's, once Schwartz can develop, he'll be dangerous. Yeah. He's dangerous anyway if you catch the damn ball and hold on to it. Okay, so talk, y'all keep getting me off tracks talking about Coach Sykes and Schwartz and all these other people. But it was very deliberate. He talked about how the fact that they wanted to improve his first 4 steps off of the line of scrimmage. They've studied this stuff to see, okay, he's already pretty talented, but but I see, what was that, Chipping 32, stop reacting emotionally. Man, stop. Ain't nobody acting emotionally. We're having fun out here, man. But either way, we're talking about Devontae Smith, and they wanted to give him two some good steps on his first steps. They wanted first 4 steps. They wanted him to be a little bit faster. They wanted him to be a little bit quicker off the point of attack. And really, those are the little things that you have to chime in on, that you have to hone in on if you're going to be a good developer of people and a good developer of players. Just because a guy is good, dissect and really see how much better this guy can be if we just do some little things. Do some little things better. Reading coverage is better. Maybe doing a little bit better on the dig routes, all this other stuff. Those little things that it takes for you to really dissect what a player is truly capable of. Big shout out to Nick Saban and his coaching staff for doing those things. Brian Palmer says, Vern, do you think Seth Williams will return next year? Considering that even though he's had some good moments this year, I think it would be in his best overall interest to come back. I think he needs to show a little bit more in order to get him a little bit more money. Now, he can do God, I can't think of the kid's name right now. Played football for Auburn last year. Y'all help me out. My memory is losing. He plays for the New York Giants. I should know this, guys, but I don't at the moment. But he might try that, just try his luck. But I mean, I just don't think Seth Williams at the moment is ready for the NFL. And God knows, just like Chippin 32 says, if he does go to the NFL, that's going to be pretty tough for the Tigers. Kind of like Auburn losing Noah Igbenogany last year was pretty tough. So, yes, Darius Slayton, who's balling in the NFL right now. Congratulations to him. Yes, thank you guys, because man, maybe I'm just getting old, and usually I'm on it like that, man. It just kind of slipped my mind there. Darius Slayton, thank you guys for that. But anyway, as we close this thing out, Auburn taking on Texas A&M next week. I think this is a very quote-unquote winnable game for the Tigers. I think the defense will play a lot better this week. I think they will have a lot more reasonable opportunities to win the football game. And look forward to a lot of coverage on this Texas A&M game. One of my Favorite games to watch now. I think Auburn and Texas A&M have developed a pretty nice story, a pretty legitimate SEC rivalry. So look forward to content on that this week as you do realize Metcalf is in the NFL baseball list for you. Okay. I mean, that's fair. I don't know who Metcalf is, but yeah, that's fair. Texas A&M, Auburn has won over Texas A&M, I think 3 years straight. And yes, I believe Texas A&M is a must-win game for Auburn. I think Auburn needs to close this year out 7-3. That's very respectable considering all things. I definitely want to let you guys know that I appreciate on this episode of Vernon Making Excuses for Bo. Man, I have not even talked about Bo. As a matter of fact, I talked about the fact that Bo Nix is 5-5 when he throws the ball over 30 times and 2-4 against ranked teams when he throws for 30, throws the ball 30 times. So I wasn't on the Bo train this week. I want to be, but you guys beat me up, man, pretty bad, pretty bad about Bo. I see stuff, I see where Bo improves, and then he, kind of has a game like he had yesterday. 2 interceptions. I think Anthony Schwartz could have helped him out on one of them, but even still, Bo Nix, I just don't think Bo Nix is doing enough. I think too much has to be, I think too much has to go in his favor, like being at home, the offensive line blocking perfectly, the offensive running game going. It's just too much. Just too much has to go his way. I want to see more of Bo Nix kind of doing the Cam Newton thing, even though I know, to compare Bo Nix to Cam Newton is absolutely asinine. But I'm just saying the way Cam Newton created stuff, and Bo Nix really kind of tried to do that yesterday, but he's just not there from a development standpoint yet. By the way, Blue 5. Okay, I see the Sigmas coming through. Now, did you pledge Sigma at Auburn, or what did you pledge Sigma at Nar Williams 6? Because I used to kind of kick it with the Sigmas a little bit at Auburn. I usually be on Bo head, but honestly, the team hasn't helped Bo either. Oh man, a wide open touchdown, man. That sucked. That sucked that he missed that. Got 28 people watching. I appreciate that. Line coach is good. He's done a good job. If Auburn gets blown out, man, if that happens, I am even not that kind of guy, but I'm going to raise holy hell this coming Saturday. I'm going to be mad Saturday, like for real. I'm not even that guy. I'm not the, big shout out to, what's his name, Uncle Lou and some of those. Charlie Williams, someone has joined. Man, I was just about to get off here, and then you going to pop in right when I'm about to get off. But that's all right. That's all right. I'll see how y'all do. Add to stream. There we go. We got Charlie Williams. What's you got, man?
Man, just man. Just really want to preach about the lack of development I feel that's going on at Auburn. I think that's one of the reasons we are so behind as far as all is right now, the elite teams in the SEC.
Hey Charlie,
the kids that we get.
Charlie, you're chopping up. Let me get you to go out and come right back in. Hey Charlie.
Okay.
Yeah, go out and come right back in. But yeah, man, what are we talking about? I love you, but it's not time yet. Exactly. Cousin. Okay, Williams family. I guess we got some relatives up in here. It's tough to really be Cam Newton, y'all, when the eyes are on you and you hit insecurities. I think Bo, I was talking to another guy about Bo Nix, and it just really does seem like he's dealing with some personal issues. You know what I'm saying? Like, so All right, we got Charlie Williams about to join us again. Hopefully he's not chopping up this time. We want to add him to the stream. Hang on. Still kind of amateur at this. Okay, add to stream. We'll get better at this each week. So, all right, so let's try it again, Charlie.
Hey, I was just saying that I feel like the lack of development at Auburn is the reason why we're so behind the elite teams. This is a new territory for me. I'm used to Auburn being able to compete with Bama, Georgia, LSU, Florida, Tennessee on a consistent basis. And watching us being treated like step kids is new to me.
You still there, Charlie?
Yeah, I'm here. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough, especially with Auburn. Continuing to have recruiting issues and continuing to, coaches I feel are still not developing players to the extent that is transferable to the NFL. That's why it's hard for them to recruit, because they can't prove that the players that they develop are going to be immediately ready for the NFL. Alabama can do that. Alabama had put players easily every year. So,
but what do you feel like that falls back to? I mean, I don't like to blame coaching for everything because I'm a high school coach myself. But on the college level, I mean, at some point, it got to fall somewhere.
Right. Where do you coach at?
Lynette High School.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we ain't never beat Lynette. We kind of got them a little bit in basketball, but they beat us at the end. But it's all good. My former, Coach Sykes, didn't he win a state championship over there?
Nah, he didn't. I was on his staff. I was on his first staff at Lynette. We got there a couple times. We never won it.
Yeah. Coach Sykes had a lot of success as a high school coach at Notasulga High School. Really had some teams deep into the playoffs. Never won a state championship, but actually turned that school had Notasulga as a dynasty in 1A. We could never beat Maplesville for some reason though. Those guys were good. But yeah, you're right. I think well, how do you feel? Okay, so now that we've established that you're a football coach, what do you think of Auburn's development of players? What do you see when you see the development of the players out there?
Well, my problem with it is just say we get a top 10 recruiting class. Out of the 22, 23 guys we recruit, we play 15, 16 of them their first year.
Right.
By the sophomore year, we don't hear about them anymore. They're second or third string because they're not getting properly developed. And then the next year, we got another group of freshmen coming in who are planning on starting again. Prime example this year, look at Tank. DJ played a whole lot of snaps last year. Mark Anthony Richards was there last year.
Right.
Sean Shivers was there. Now I know a lot of injuries and things occur, but Tank stepping right in from high school and being ahead of those guys, to me, that's development. Receivers not being able to run the route tree. I mean, you can look at Auburn's alignment on offense and tell what plays coming.
Right.
And it's sad because I know if I can do it and I'm sitting on my couch, think of guys that are sitting there watching hours and hours of film on Auburn all week. Think about what they're calling out.
Exactly. You see the tendencies. You know when Anthony Swartz does that double motion,
twirl motion, or he comes in and jump right back out. Yes, it's coming.
You know when Auburn has a little bit of success on first down, they're gonna blow it with a damn end around or something goofy like that.
We never utilized the middle of the field either. The middle of the field is always wide. All our passes are perimeter.
That's the stuff that I harp on, is the fact that the intermediate passing game is like wide the hell open, and I just don't understand.
And it's non-existent.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And why would a tight end come to Auburn? Why would you be a tight end and commit to Auburn? I don't understand that. They don't do anything but throw a 99 jersey on you and turn you into an extra offensive lineman. We don't utilize them.
Right. And it's so unfortunate because, like I said, it's just, I mean, it's just wide open. I mean, this stuff is wide open. When you
Yeah,
see both running for his life, there are no receivers in the middle of the
in the middle
football
of the field.
that could bail him out. So, I
Nope.
mean, I think Auburn is not going to do this, because that's why I don't get into the whole you need to change coaches and all that other job, because Auburn is not going to do it. But at the same time, Cody Burns is really not your guy for a wide receiver coach. Hell, he didn't even play
Oh
for your.
no.
I think we really lost out when Damian Craig left. He was just an
Well,
excellent recruiter. Auburn
and,
graduate.
and my problem with that was, why not let Damian coach quarterbacks? He was an all SEC quarterback. Why you got him coaching receivers? Bring someone in to coach receivers. To me,
Yeah,
Damian was a figurehead just to recruit the Mobile area for us. How you could recruit the crap out of Mobile,
right.
Louisiana, and Florida with his ties with LSU and Florida State.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely an unfortunate thing to watch. Auburn is going to continue, I think, as long as Gus Malzahn is in place, as long as the leadership is, functioning as they do. I mean, 9 to 10 wins is your optimal. I just don't think I don't
And
think
that's
we have.
sad.
Yeah, and it really is. I just really don't think we have
That's
pieces
sad.
to consistently compete for championships on a year in and year out, uh, year in and year out basis, and it's really unfortunate. But I'm going to
And
go ahead. Oh, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, you fine. I was just saying, I feel like our downfall came after the 2013 season. We were hot. We were new kids on the block. His system was driving everybody crazy. And he
Right,
started recruiting the guys that fit his system. He started trying to prove to everyone that he could develop NFL quarterbacks, and you don't do that. You hire coaches to do that stuff for you.
right,
Because I mean, don't get me wrong. Jeremy Johnson, everyone gives him a hard time saying he was a buzz. Jeremy Johnson wasn't developed, and I'll say that he was not properly developed. You could see times he will come up to the line of scrimmage and look up at the safeties and not know where the ball was going to go. That's
right.
development. That's what happens between Sunday and Thursday. Because if when you get to Saturday, if you don't know, it's too late. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, and like you said, teaching a guy what you need to see, how your talents reflect against your opponent, because Jeremy Johnson was not. They were trying to make this guy another Cam Newton. This guy did not come to
And he
Auburn to run.
wasn't.
This guy is
And Cam Newton is a Cam Newton. It's never going to be another Cam Newton. We need
it,
to stop labeling
yeah,
kids to come to Auburn.
exactly. And we do that unfairly, because the Cam Newtons and the Nick Marshalls and the Jason Campbells, those are the guys that led Auburn to high levels of success. So anything that we think resembles that, we're just hoping like hell it just happens that way. But Jeremy Johnson, I was always excited when Jeremy Johnson got into the football game, because I always knew of his potential. I think one of the best games that he played and won was the game against Texas A&M down in College Station,
A&M
Texas.
that year.
Texas
Yep.
A&M ranked, I think, number 19 or something like that. And
Kyler Murray was their quarterback.
yeah, they finally. I was excited because they finally played to uh, Jeremy Johnson's strengths. They were tearing the
Yep.
intermediate passing game up. They were putting him in favorable position as far as short passes, and also mixing that in with the run. And I really was excited for Jeremy Johnson. That was kind of a redemption game for him. But you could tell that Jeremy
Yep.
Johnson's demeanor was of such to where he wasn't comfortable with what he's doing. Same way with what's his name, Jared Stidham,
Sean White,
Sean White, all
Jared
those guys.
Stidham, Sean White, Clint
They
Mosley, all of
Exactly. They were not comfortable with what they were being asked to do.
them.
So, I mean, and,
Yeah.
and like you said, I'm glad we got on the tangent of the development, because when you look at Auburn, they'll beat Tennessee by 13 points, but when they should beat them by 30. They'll beat a
Yeah.
team
Yep.
like Ole Miss by 6 when they should. But I tell you, it's kind of hard to watch at times how these
Oh
kids
yeah,
are
it's extremely hard to watch.
much have to do too much to actually make an NFL team. You know, they have to
Yeah,
basically do it on their own. They have to hope that they perform well at the combine or at NFL draft day at Auburn. But teams are not looking at game film on these guys and saying, "Oh man, this is going to be a first round pick." So I don't know, man. I just don't
no,
know.
it's
But I,
sad, and also development physically. You look at our kids' bodies, and you look at the kids we going against on other teams. It's like we're
oh
midgets. It's like we still got high school bodies, and these guys' bodies are developing at a rapid rate. And I'm looking like we got to do something with strength and conditioning because this doesn't make any sense to me. A prime example: Jalen Waddle for Alabama. Durner broke his ankle about 3-4 weeks ago against Tennessee. Now they're talking about he gonna play again this year, possibly play again. If that's a kid on Auburn's team breaking his ankle, he's out to next year. We just go ahead and write him off because there's no strength. Our kids' bodies don't heal at a proper rate to me. They tear
no,
ACLs and stuff, and our kids out almost 2 years. Look at Eli Stove and Will Hastings a couple years ago. They were out almost 2 years with ACL because their knees weren't properly developed, weren't properly trained, and it's sad.
mm-hmm. Yeah, it really is because you look
That,
at
that was
say,
one of the main reasons. That's one of the main reasons Muschamp left. Muschamp wanted to hire a new strength and conditioning coach to
mm-hmm.
get the kids' bodies up to par. Gus wouldn't go for it. He wanted to stick with his guy. That's why Muschamp ended up going to South Carolina.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's definitely a plausible reason to want to leave. If you're not going to give me the tools that I need that I know I need to be successful,
Yep.
then I mean, it's no way I can be here knowing that I'm not going to be successful with what I'm working with. My players getting hurt.
Yep.
I'm not going to be able to attract the type of players that I want for this program. So, yes, I am going to jump ship. I think Gus Malzahn and Will Muschamp could have actually been a pretty good combination. But
Yep.
Muschamp knew based on his prior experiences that this is what it's going to take to be successful. Gus Malzahn, unfortunately, as a majority high school coach for most of his tenure, kind of being thrown into Power Five competition, being thrown into a situation where the being thrown into a situation where the trajectory of college football is starting to change with the recruiting. Nick Saban recruiting on a high level. Clemson is starting to recruit on a high
Oh
level.
yeah.
So now you got
Everybody.
an already inexperienced coach in a situation to where the game is changing right before his eyes, and he doesn't even know how to adjust to it. He just now Gus Malzahn has just now kind of halfway have learned somewhat of how to recruit. You know,
Oh
with
yeah.
based on has, but now the developmental piece has to start because you can see it. Normally, Auburn doesn't beat Kentucky the way they did. They normally don't beat Tennessee the way they did. They had an opportunity, I think, to dominate Arkansas outside of some boneheaded plays there. So the recruiting is getting better. But now, as you say,
Yeah.
little things like that fans don't think about, like the strength and conditioning coach, upgrading
Oh yeah.
facilities, making your program
Yep.
a lot more attractive to these types of recruits that will come to Auburn instead of say going to Florida or Alabama or Oregon, teams like those. So I mean, it's I'm glad you mentioned the strength and conditioning coach because a lot of fans don't understand that those little things add up, especially you start getting into the third quarter. You seeing Auburn's hands on their
Oh
hips
yeah.
where Alabama's offensive line is just knocking them all over the field, and then you get those
Yep.
runs at Najee Harris in the third quarter untouched because I
Yep.
mean, by the time you get to that point in the game, you're already mentally dejected, and to add the physicality with it is just a formula for disaster.
Oh, exactly. And then like I don't feel like he utilizes his defensive staff to his advantage. He has Kevin Steele as his DC. I will go and have a meeting with Kevin Steele 2-3 times a week. All right, Kevin, what can we do against this defense to hurt them? I mean, Kevin Steele's one of the best. It seems like sometimes we go out there, it seems like we got two separate teams at all. We got a defense and we got an offense. Kevin still does his job, and they don't talk or anything like that. And the offense does their job. You got to help. You still got to be one unit. I know it's competition during the week and stuff like that, but you got to utilize that stuff. You can't tell me that Sarkisian doesn't go in Saban's office and say, "Hey, Nick, what I need to do against this team right here? What are they doing, trying to do to me right here?"
Right. I think you bring up an excellent point with the offense and the defense being even though they, like I say, they compete against each other every week, but they still have to work together. You got to look at stuff like how the offensive time of possession affects the defense. Also, there's got to be some looks, especially when we talk about that intermediate portion of the football field. There's got to be some looks, and there's got to where we can see this stuff. Like Anthony Schwartz should be eating up all that intermediate passing game. Seth Williams as well. So I really think that those are things when we talk about development and when we talk about preparedness. That's definitely something that I didn't even, at times I didn't even think about. Those are those little things where I just don't think, like you mentioned, I don't think Gus does a good enough job of maximizing his resources. Period. He just doesn't.
Even check downs to the running backs. Our running backs sit back there and protect. Let them do a little curl right there in front of the linebackers to hold the linebackers and run something behind the linebackers.
Right.
Linebackers tee off on us because we don't do anything to hold them in the middle of the field.
Mm-hmm. We don't. There's no interior portion of the field accountability to where the defense even has to worry about it because they know we're not going to do it. The only thing that has been halfway,
like I said, no tight ends.
Yeah, the only thing that has been halfway successful is Bo Nix is doing a little bit better job of actually utilizing his scrambling to where he is getting some stuff up the middle, and his scrambling has become a little bit more educated. But at the same time, that the intermediate passing game is something that has to be, and I'm interested to see. And I'm gonna do some commentary on this week, and you're more than welcome to join. I'm gonna do a few more lives than I normally do because I'm starting to enjoy this whole call in. So anyone who wants to join, we'll put the link up. I also share the link on Facebook because I want to get you guys' input on these Auburn Tigers, even though they frustrate the hell out of us, but we still love Auburn and want to support. But anyway, we're going to end it here. I definitely appreciate Charlie Williams joining, football coach for Lynette High School. Lynette High School, one of the highly regarded. I want to say you all are 2A now, right?
Yeah, we went back up to 2A.
2A, okay, because I remember one time when I was actually playing football, Lynette was a 4A school, which competed in the same district with Lynette and what was it, Beauregard and all those little country traffic light teams.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Either way, I want to thank all of you guys for joining me tonight. I had an absolute ball talking about this ass whooping we just took from Alabama, but always love talking to you guys, especially in the comment section. Big shout out to everyone who took the time out to join us. Again, Charlie, I appreciate it. Once again, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart here for the podcast Talking Auburn Football. Go ahead and like this video, comment, and subscribe to our channel, Vernon Speaks Sports Auburn. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle.